1 second. All right. Let me check my sound. Let's see here. Oh, Israel. You guys let me know if you can hear me, please. Just type in the chat box if you can hear me. Type in, let me know if you can hear me. Oh, okay. Thanks. I'd like to say grace and peace in Jesus' name to everybody this evening. Thank you for tuning in. And as you can see from the title of the topic this evening is the 144,000 or 144,000. Just want to look at this because there's so many different doctrines out there regarding this. Not just from the Gentiles, also even Israel have a certain a certain belief when it comes to looking at this particular topic. And it's not that it's hard. It's it just the Bible just doesn't give you much on the 144,000. But it does give you what's necessary for you to be able to understand, get understanding on what this 144,000 is referring to. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually go and look at some of the patterns of how the Lord does things, and that'll give you an idea, of how He's going to do things in the end of the world. So, but first, let's go to the book of Hebrews, chapter 13. We're going to pick this up at verse 8. It says, Jesus Christ the same yesterday and today and forever. So the reason why I wanted to read that is because most people don't know that Jesus is the one that was responsible for all the different things that happened in the Old Testament, from Israel being delivered out of captivity, from the Lord bringing them through the Red Sea, the angels killing off the firstborn in Egypt, all the plagues that the Lord sent through sent through Egypt. Jesus is actually the one that was behind all the stuff that was going on. So when you see in Hebrews chapter 13, when it says Jesus Christ the same yesterday, so we talking about, way back in the day. Yesterday, today, even in this present time when this was given, and forever. So He's not going to change. So that's why when we go back and look at some of the things that took place in Egypt, you'll see that for the most part, everything's gonna stay the same. He may do things on a bigger scale at the end of the world, but it's still mainly the same exact thing. So let's go back and let's go read this 144,000 first. Let's go to Revelation chapter 7. We're gonna look at that right quick. Revelation 7. Revelation 7. And then we're gonna come back after we're gonna go around and come back. And first we're just gonna identify this, and then we we'll look at why they have to be sealed off and why they're so important. But it don't just stop with this 144,000. Now they are, um, important because it's God's people. So Revelation chapter 7, we're gonna pick this up at verse 1. It says, "And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel." So the most important thing that we have to understand is that the Lord is very particular about Israel. From Genesis to Revelation, the Lord is very, he thinks highly of his people. And that's why even Paul was letting you know, regarding salvation, regarding punishment. Hey, it's always going to start with the Jew. Romans chapter 2, I believe that's where you get the statement that Paul said, to the Jew first and to the Gentile, because that's the order how God has it set up. Before anything can happen, any gospel can be preached to the world, the Lord always set it up with the Israelites. So here we are here, and thank you guys for letting me know too. Here we are here in the end of the world, when the Lord is getting ready to return. Some destruction is getting ready to take place on the earth, and before he brings this destruction himself, he's going to seal off 12,000 from the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so that's what it says at the end of verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. In verse 5, of the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Reuben, tribe of Gad, tribe of Asher, Nephilim, Manasseh. Verse 7, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zabulon, Joseph, Benjamin. So those are the 12 tribes that were sealed, and you got 12,000 being sealed out of each and every one of those tribes, right? So that's where you get your 144,000 from. So this can't be talking about the religion or the doctrine of that's coming from the Jehovah's Witness. It can't be. It has nothing to do with them. It has something to do with the Lord's people, the children of Israel. All right. So now let's skip down a little bit further. Let's go down to verse 9, and let's see something else here. So after we get all of them sealed off, now let's see who else is gonna get sealed. It says, and after this, well, it says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. So you got some more that's being sealed, that no man can number, a great multitude. It just go to show you that it ain't, it's not just the Jew himself, or not just Israel himself. You got Israel that's being sealed, and then you have, a great multitude from other nations, other nationalities that's going to be sealed also. So that should let you know that God is bigger than just one race or one nationality of people. But like I say, it always starts with the Jew first and the Gentile, and that's what God is doing. He's sealing off his people first, and then he's gonna seal off others from other nations. Now, so what a lot of people don't understand, like we don't, most people don't understand the significance of why these people have to be sealed. So let's go back to the book of Ezekiel, and we're gonna come back to Revelation. We just want to go look at a few things. Let's go to Ezekiel. And that's why I wanted, to point out Jesus Christ being the same yesterday, today, and forever, because he don't really do anything different. But in this case right here in the book of Revelation, when we come back to it, we're gonna actually see that, we're in a particular time frame, which is called the Great Tribulation. And as we come to the end of the Great Tribulation, now it doesn't stop right there. The Great Tribulation is over with, it ends, and then Jesus himself is getting ready to get involved. He's getting ready to intervene in the affairs of man at this point when we go into Revelation 7. But before he actually gets involved, what he's going to do is he's going to sell off these people we just read about. All right, so now let's go look at Ezekiel chapter 9, and we're going to see that this was done before. It's nothing new, you know what I'm saying? And just like you got these angels back in that's doing the sealing in Revelation, these are the same angels that's doing the sealing back here in Ezekiel, because they keep their job. They don't really, for the most part, they don't change their position. Not that we can read. God set them up. You have certain angels that are set aside to do a certain thing. That's why Michael, he took down Lucifer. And you read throughout the Bible how in Daniel, when Satan was trying to come, or Lucifer, Satan the devil, that old serpent, like it's saying in Revelation 12, how he, jammed up Gabriel when Gabriel was getting ready to bring the message to Gabriel, being an angel, getting ready to bring a message to Daniel regarding the dream that he had, and he got jammed up. He got held up, and Michael had to come help him. And Michael was the same one that kicked Satan out of heaven, like it say in Revelation 12. So, like I said, you can't really see that their positions change besides Satan getting cast out of heaven, and he might more likely, like I say, he was the anointed cherub. So, he was doing something more than he wasn't running around doing what he's doing now, but he got puffed up. Then he lost that position, whatever that position was. But it had to be something good, because like the Bible called him Ezekiel 28 to say thou the anointed cherub. You know what I'm saying? Then he had a lot of wisdom. So, but it don't really say what exactly he was. We can't say that he was the Holy Ghost and Gabriel took his job, because I can't read that nowhere. It's a probability that's what happened, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I don't know. I ain't gonna even get off into that. But Ezekiel chapter 9 in verse 1, it says, he cried also in my ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lie toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. Now, these men that we are reading about, these are actually angels, okay? They can appear as men, but and like it said in Daniel said he saw the man, he was caused to fly swiftly, but it was still talking about Gabriel being an angel. In Genesis, when Jesus came down, or when the Lord came down with the angels, actually look at Sodom and Gomorrah to see if this was really going on. He wanted to get he wanted to get a view of it himself. The Bible refers to those angels that were with him as men. But when you read, and when they got over to Lot and Sodom and stuff, hey, you see that they were actually angels. They had power to blind those men that were at the door. So man don't have the power to do that. But it'll interchange between angel and man. So in this case right here in Ezekiel 9, we just talking about angels, but they're being referred to as men. So it said, behold, 6 men came from the way of the high gate, which lie. Well, let me go back to verse 1. At the end of verse 1, it says, beginning of verse 1. It said, it cried also in my ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lie toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with the writer's inkhorn by his side. And they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. So you got these angels, or these men in this particular case, but these are angels. They are ready to kill. That's why they got these destroying weapons in their hand. They ready to bring some damage, right? But before they do something, notice what it says. It says, and one man among them, clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side. So he got like a pen, but it's going to be for a particular purpose. It said, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar, and the glory of the God of Israel was going up from the cherub, whereupon he was to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So you got all this sin, all these different abominations that are taking place in the city, the midst of Jerusalem, in Jerusalem, stuff like that. So the Lord is telling them, y'all go, for the one with the writer's ink on in his hand, tell them to go through the city and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that take place in the that be done in the midst there, right? So you got some people that are in the land that disagree with the actions that are going on. That's like today. We see some different actions that are happening now today in our time. We don't agree with it, and the Lord, just imagine the Lord getting ready to bring some destruction, but before he brings this destruction, he's going to seal off those that are actually on his side, in a sense, that's serving God or don't agree with all this wickedness that's taking place. Well, this is what was going on back then. So he said in verse 5, and to the elders he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your ear spare, neither have ye pity. Remember they came to the altar now, and they was up there. They had all these different destroying weapons in their hand, right? So before they come, this other man is going to go through and mark everybody that sigh and cry for the abomination that take place in the midst there, right? Then he tells them, go after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. But come not near any man whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Because remember now, I tell you, it's the Jew first and the Gentile. But you're gonna start at the church. That's where that order should be coming from. Then they begin at the ancient men which were before the house. So they started off with the older men, right? But this is what was going on back then. We're gonna develop a pattern of how, you know, before the Lord will bring some destruction, you'll see in some cases how he'll actually, he'll spare those, the righteous ones, in a sense. Because he gonna do that with Israel, and we ain't saying that they all righteous, but hey, Abraham was righteous, and he made a covenant with Abraham. So when it came time for him to kill those off in Egypt, we're gonna see that he set them apart, and they didn't even get touched after a while, which is the same thing that's gonna happen in Revelation. So in verse 6 he says, slay utterly old and young, because when it comes time to cleaning up the mess and starting that things over fresh, God don't it don't matter with God. He don't care old and young. It don't matter. Remember, if you think back, he told Moses he was gonna kill off Israel. He was gonna kill everybody, and he was gonna raise up Israel again through Moses. So it don't matter with God. Listen, you see different things that happen around the world today, where the Lord wipe out nations or not. If it ain't nations, I remember back in the day, around 2004 when that tsunami hit over in Asia. I think that's where it was, Sri Lanka. It killed like 250,000 people. That was a lot of people, you know. But you think kids weren't involved in that too? It was kids in that, but God is behind all of this, and that's the thing. So just like with this right here, He's telling them slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they begin at the ancient men which were before the house. But what we're seeing here, before the Lord allowed the killing to take place, he had these men sealed off. He set a mark upon them, right? So let's go back over to the book of Exodus. Book of Exodus. Exodus chapter 8. And if you're not familiar with Exodus, when the children of Israel got delivered out of Egypt, what went on with them was they were in captivity for 400 years. Um, so it came a time when, it was time for them to be set free. After them going through all those years of captivity, the Lord didn't just allow Pharaoh to let his people go. It tell you, that the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. So it's almost like today, all the stuff that's been going on with God's people. When it's time for us to be set free, it's not like you're just gonna get a pass and you're just gonna let people go and it's not gonna be no repercussions. There's gonna be repercussions. Um, just like it was repercussions during the time of Pharaoh. But at this time, when he get ready to deliver them, what he did was, he had Moses and Aaron, they were representing the Lord. Then of course you had Pharaoh, you had his sources and stuff like that, and they was going back and forth. It was going back and forth. You had Moses and Aaron, they doing different plagues. Pharaoh and his sorcerers, they were trying to match him and stuff like that. And then it got to a point where, hey, it just got out of hand, and Pharaoh's, his sword, they couldn't handle it. They knew, this was a little bit more. This was out of their league. So when it's all said and done, now God is getting ready to get involved. But notice what's going to happen. Let's look at something. Exodus chapter, we're going to look at verse 1. It said, the Lord spake unto Moses, go unto Pharaoh and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go that they may serve me. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs. And the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house, and into thy bedchamber, and upon thy bed, and into the house of thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy ovens, and into thy kneading troughs. And the frogs shall come up both on thee and upon thy people, and upon all thy servants. Yeah, man, I would have been like, Lord, you can take these people, get them out of here, because I can't do them frogs all on me. You say the frogs gonna come up on both on thee and upon thy people and upon all thy servants. So you're gonna be covered in frogs. And the Lord speaking to Moses, saying, say unto Aaron, stretch forth thy hand with thy rods over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up upon the land of Egypt. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments and brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt. See, so they was able to, match and do the same thing. That's how it's gonna be at the end of the world. It's gonna be a counterbalance going on. You got to be some false prophet representing Satan, and you're gonna have the two witnesses representing the Lord. But that's why we saw that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It don't change. It's gonna be the same way like it was during this time. This is how it's gonna be in the end. So it's in verse 8, then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, entreat the Lord that he may take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go that they may do sacrifice unto the Lord. So let's get on down. Let's go down a little bit. All right. But Pharaoh, heart is hard. So verse 13 said, the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and the frogs died out of the houses of the village and out of the fields. And they gathered them together upon heaps, and the land stank, because the Lord went on and stopped sending the frogs. They died. So it starts stinking, right? It says, but when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart and hearkened not unto them, as the Lord has said. Now, any normal man, you see this type of stuff going on. You giving up. You giving up. But God would not allow them to give up. He hardened their heart. He hardened Pharaoh. So I tell you that in Romans chapter 9. In case you're wondering why he did this, it'll explain to you Romans chapter 9. It'll tell you why he did it. Because some people say, well, how is Pharaoh wrong when God was the one, doing that? First off, like I said, you ain't gonna get no easy pass. You sit up here beating on God's people and stuff like that. You ain't finna whoop on Israel 400 years, and then at the end of it, you think you're just gonna let them go. The Lord gonna harden your heart. You ain't gonna even be able to think normal like a man. A normal man, more than likely, gonna give up. Hey, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. He couldn't give up if he wanted to. Because the Lord is going to show the world who he is, and he going to show that he, show the world his people. Just like it's going to happen in the same exact thing. But it's just going to be on a bigger scale this time. But still, in this case right here, Moses and Aaron is still involved. Just like Pharaoh and his the ones that represent him are involved. But it's gonna come a time where everybody getting out the way. And God gonna get involved himself, just like it's gonna be at the end of the Great Tribulation. See, during the time of the Great Tribulation, the Pope gonna be running everything. You're gonna have the two witnesses, they're gonna have power to do things also, but it's gonna come a time when God gonna get involved himself. This is why he gonna seal off these 144,000. But we're gonna see where these 144,000 is actually coming from, though. You see. So he said in verse 16, the Lord said to Moses, saying to Aaron, stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. They did so, for Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth life, but they could not. So there was lice upon man and upon beast. See, it ain't like I say, it's starting to get to a point where they can't do this now. See, they was able to bring forth frogs. Matter of fact, they was able to match it. Go back, you better see they was able to do some things, showing mainly, okay, yeah, you ain't nobody, Aaron and Moses. Y'all ain't doing nothing. But now, hey, they calling some lights for, they can't do that. They can't match that. Now they realizing, okay, yeah, we in a little too deep on this one. So in verse 18, read that again. It said, the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beast. Then the magician said unto Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord has said. And the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he come forth to the river and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee and upon thy servants and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are. And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell. We remember me and my teacher, brother Jediah, we was talking a few years back. We was talking about the gentrification of how you go to different cities and Israel dwells in these cities, and then after a certain amount of time, being in the cities for 30, 40 years, all of a sudden they just start pushing Israel out, pushing them out to the suburbs. Well, it's kind of like that. Kind of like hear what was going on back then, but not to say that the Lord gonna cut off the suburbs and from any hurt, harm, or danger, but just going to show, hey, a pattern was going on back then. You see the same thing happening now. It said, I will sever that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarm of flies shall be there. So at this point now, God is cutting off Israel, so they don't get touched from this point on. Just like we saw in the book of Ezekiel, you had some people there that was sighing and crying for the abominations that take place in the midst thereof, right? So what did the Lord do? He had that man come through there with that writer's inkhorn and set a mark upon them, didn't he? So when he put that mark upon them, when them angels that came through behind him bringing death and destruction, listen, they couldn't touch them. You see? But now, back in Exodus, even though Israel, they experienced some of the plagues, where it got to a point where now the Lord is getting ready to get involved and sever off Israel. That's the same exact thing that's going to happen in the book of Revelation. So he said, I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarm of flies shall be there, to the end that thou may know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. Verse 23, and I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be. So they had some type of sign, right? He severed them off. So now you're gonna see, you're gonna actually see who God's people is. Just like in the end, you're gonna see who God's people is. But just keep in mind, hey, during the time of the great tribulation, if you get caught in this great tribulation, whether Israelite or Gentile, Hamite, stranger, whatever you want to call it, you happen to get caught here in this great tribulation, there's a high probability you're gonna have to experience everything if you don't die. And you make it to the end of the great tribulation. Now God get ready to get involved, and those ones that actually, turned to God and made their robes white during the time of the great tribulation, hey, He gonna seal them off. He gonna put a mark on them. But he's severing them off in a sense, just like He did back then. That's why we show you that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So He's saying, verse 23, I'm gonna put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall the sign be. Verse 24, and the Lord did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servant's house, and into all the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies. And Pharaoh called for Moses and for Aaron and said, go you sacrifice. All right, so that's good on that. Let's go a little further. Let's go into chapter 11. Just wanted you to see how He severed them off. Let's go to chapter 11, and we're going to get down to where He's getting ready to kill off these firstborn. Exodus chapter 11. We're going to start at verse 1. It says, and the Lord said unto Moses, yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver and jewels of gold. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. Because that's what he did. He made him a god to Pharaoh. You see, matter of fact, he said he was going to do that in another place. But it says, what? And Moses said, thus saith the Lord, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sit upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maid servant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. So the Lord wasn't playing. See, like I say, He done took it out of a realm where these sources can't do this. They knew it. Matter of fact, they told them when they couldn't do nothing with them lice, they told them that this was this come from God. The payroll ain't paying us, for us to be able to do nothing like this. This is God. But even right here, you're gonna see that God is now involved. So He said, Moses said, thus saith the Lord, about midnight I will go out in the midst, and all the firstborn of Egypt shall die. Let's see here, verse 6. And there should be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it anymore. Had to be something bad that took place. They still tripping over that, still upset about this whole thing. I'm hearing, even all the way down in our time. So the Lord gonna kill off the firstborn in Egypt, but notice what He says in verse 7. He said, but against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that you may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. So you see what's going on here, right? You're seeing how He's severing them off, and they can't be touched no more. But you seeing what's happening here. God is actually getting involved. See, He done got involved and started intervening in, like I said earlier, in the affairs of man. So once He does that, it just makes sense for Him to seal off His servants, so He'll end up taking everybody out. All right, so let's go back to Revelation. Back to Revelation. We're gonna matter of fact, we're gonna start in chapter 6, and we're gonna walk this down into chapter 7. Now, what we're looking at in Revelation 6, this is actually this is the Great Tribulation. That's what we are. We are in the Great Tribulation. Inside of this Great Tribulation, there are 7 seals that'll be opened up. All right. 6 of those seals are the Great Tribulation. Okay. The 7th seal is God Himself. That's what I meant to say. But 6 of those seals are the Great Tribulation, 3.5 years. This is what the Pope You know, he gonna have his power for 3.5 years to do his bidding, to do his killing, and forcing people to worship him and stuff like that, killing off heretics. You don't believe in the Roman Catholic Church. You don't believe in Sunday. You don't believe in the false doctrine that he putting out. You don't want to bow down and worship this man. You don't want to bow down and worship that image. Then guess what? You getting your head cut off, or you're gonna have a lot of different things that's gonna happen to you. But this is the Great Tribulation. There are 6 seals that's going to be opened up. Now we're down to the 6th seal right now. As a matter of fact, just to kind of clarify, go to Revelation 5. Go to Revelation chapter 5. All right, in Revelation 5, and we're going to start at verse 1, then we'll go back to Revelation 6. All right, Revelation 5 and verse 1. It says, and I saw on the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within, and on the backside sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders saith unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. So the Lion of the tribe of Judah, we're talking about Jesus, the root of David. We just simply talking about Jesus, but he hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. So the one that's going to be behind this great tribulation is Jesus, that's running it all. Even though you're going to have the Pope, doing his thing, and he getting his power from Satan. Well, Jesus is the one behind it all, because he's going to allow this destruction to come on this earth. That's why another place is saying, Revelation chapter 3, regarding the church in Philadelphia, he said, I'm going to keep you from the hour of temptation that should come upon the earth to try them, the whole earth to try them. You see? So he said here in verse 6, and I beheld in lo in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb, as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth. So this is Jesus that is talking about. That's why he's saying, I beheld and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb, as it had been slain. So that's what you see. You seeing Jesus, right? Then these 7 horns and 7 eyes are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth. In other words, these are 7 spirits of 7 eyes that go back and forth and report to God. All right. But it said he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat on the throne. And when they had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. All right. So now let's go into Revelation chapter 6. Just want to show you what this is. These are actually 7 vials that's going to be opened up. 7 vials. 7 seals that's going to be open, and Jesus is the one that's behind it. All right, so it says here, let's see here. Let's see where we're going to start. We're not going to start at this first seal. We want to get down to the last seal before we get to the 7. We want to get down to the 6th seal. Okay, Revelation 6 and 12. It says, and I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she is shaken up a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sit on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? But if you come back to verse 12, notice what's going on in verse 12. It says, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And you got to be mindful and be careful of people that say that this is happening yet, because you ain't seen it. You ain't seen the atmosphere being affected at all on this magnitude. You've not seen the moon turn go down in blood. That's gonna happen one time, but it hadn't happened yet. It says the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken up a mighty wind. Because usually, if you look at a fig tree, or you look at any type of fruit tree for that matter, just think about the natural process of fruits being ripe. You know, in this particular scripture right here, he's just likening it to a fig tree casting her untimely figs when she is shaking up a mighty wind. In other words, the wind come through there, and the figs fall, but it's falling out of its time. Well, that's how the star is gonna be, because usually, once they're ready and they ripe, they fall by themselves. But if they're not ready and a strong wind come through there and knock them down, hey, that's untimely. It wasn't supposed to fall. Well, that's what he's saying about these stars. He said, the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree cast the untimely figs when she is shaken up a mighty wind. But pay attention, though, right? It says, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. So just think about it. If the heaven departs as a scroll, right, and is rolled together, what you think you're gonna see? What do you think you're looking at now? Now you're looking at God. Now you're looking at Jesus. And this is what's happening at this point in time. See, it's a bad time, but hey, the world is getting ready, is introducing you to him now. I'm just saying, like, because every time he come, it's an earthquake, but even when Jesus died, the same thing took place as far as the earthquake and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, as the heaven depart, as the scroll is rolled together, every mountain and island will move out of their places, because it's a grand entrance, but he still ain't coming though. He's just gonna be sitting up in the heavens. And in verse 15, it said, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sit on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. So they can see Jesus and the Father. They looking up. Remember, the sky don't open up now, right? But pay attention to what it says in verse 17. For that great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? And this is what most people don't understand. Because before Jesus brings his destruction, now he's getting ready to seal off Israel and the nations. So they not nobody special as far as they gonna have superpowers and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, they got caught in the Great Tribulation. See, if you're in the wilderness, you escaping all this. You escape this destruction. But we're gonna read about them. It says, "For the great day of his wrath is coming. Who shall be able to stand?" All right. So now we go into chapter 7 and verse 1. It says, "And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God." See, because he's finna get involved. Just like he got involved during the time of Egypt. What did he do? He severed off Israel, didn't he? Just like you see in Ezekiel chapter 9, when they had them the men come through there, and they was getting ready to bring that destruction. Hey, he had another man with a writer's inkhorn to go through and mark those that sign cry for the abominations that take place in the midst thereof. Right? So what we got going on here, now we saw in the end of Revelation 6 and I think Revelation 6 and verse 14, 17, It says what? For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? So now we are getting ready to open up this last seal, the seventh seal. And when the Lord opened up this seventh seal, he's going to have seven vials that he's going to pour out on this earth. It's called the vials of wrath. But before he pours out these vials of wrath, he's going to seal off these people. So back to Revelation 7, verse 2, and it said, I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, neither the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So evidently these people were in a position or in a place where they could possibly get hurt. So in order not to hurt them, let's seal them off. Let's put a mark on them so when these angels come through here, they won't get touched. Then he says, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So this is going to exclude Jehovah's Witnesses right here out the gate. All right. This ain't got nothing to do with, not being funny or nothing like that, but this ain't got nothing to do with the Gentiles right here. It doesn't. This is strictly talking about the 12 tribes of Israel and 12,000 coming out of each tribe. That's what this is talking about. Because remember now, it's the Jew first and then the Gentile. So now skip down to verse 9. And you can read, you can read like we went through the tribes earlier, but you can go back and read it on your own. But now we pick it up in verse 9, and he said, and after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude. So after these got marked, now the Lord is letting us know that it's a great multitude going to be marked. This is what John's seeing, not just the 12 tribes. He just starting with them. But guess what he said about them? He said, hey, no man can number them. He said, after this I beheld, lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations or from all nations and kindreds and people and tongues. What they did, they stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hand, right? So now let's skip down to verse 13. It says, and one of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, these are they which came out of great tribulation, and had washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So evidently these people got caught in the great tribulation. And it must have been a change that had to take place during the time of their during the time of their during the time when they was in this great tribulation, there had to be a change that took place. Give me 1 second. Oh, so I'm gonna look at something else. That's another place I'm looking for. Showing how like we did it in our time. Cause see, they got white robes. And we have ours too, but they got theirs when they was in the great tribulation. That's why it's saying here, these are they which came out of great tribulation. And I can't find it, it'll come to me. That's why I say here, these are they which came out of great tribulation and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore, or because of this, are they before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple. And he that sit on the throne shall dwell among them. But it ain't just 144,000, is it? See, we saw in verse 9 that it included, another multitude that couldn't be numbered, right? Now, but you're gonna see a difference, right? But before we move to Revelation 14, it says, I said 14, 7 and 14. Then we're gonna go to chapter 14. It says, and I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. He said unto me, these are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So, in other words, they got cleaned up. Not talking about their physical clothes, but we just talking about their spiritual garments. They got them cleaned up. So evidently they had to be dirty at some point in time. You see, he says, "These are they which came out of great tribulation and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb." So once they did this, now they clean. Therefore are they before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sit on the throne shall dwell among them. Right? 16, for they shall hunger no more, neither thirst anymore, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb, talking about Jesus, which is in the midst of the throne, shall feed them and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. Right? So now let's go to Revelation chapter 14. Revelation chapter 14. And we can't really say that this is a different group of people right here. You know what I'm saying? We can't say it's a different group of people. You know, so I hear some people say that, but you can't really you can't prove it because the Bible don't give you much on 144,000. But what I can say is that I see some similarities in Revelation 14 as I see in Revelation chapter 17. It says, "And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads." All right. "And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth." So maybe, out of the ones that were, maybe out of the 144,000 that were sealed in Revelation 7, and the multitude that no man can number, out of all of them together, only the 144,000 could, knew that song. Then it says, "These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins." So some people say right here, some people say right here in this particular verse right here, "These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins." Well, I can go in another place in 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and show you where Paul says, "I present you as chaste virgins to Christ." You see? And then we also saw in Revelation chapter 7, if this is the same group, they wash their robes. You see? So that means they evidently at some point they were filthy, but they washed their robes when they, during the time of the Great Tribulation, they got themselves cleaned up. So now from this point on, what we're seeing is these are they which were not defiled with women, but at the same time, listen, you know, we got different. You have different type of women in the Bible. It's not necessarily, talking about a physical woman. Not necessarily. We don't have enough to prove either or, but we could be talking about false doctrine. Like I can go back to matter of fact, let's go look at something right quick. Um Solomon gonna talk about that. I'm gonna see if I can remember. It might be Proverbs 16. Let's see here. And one reason I just want to bring this out because, like I said, so many different doctrines out there about this, but it's not enough to prove either or. In Revelation 14 is not. In Revelation 7, it mainly tell you where they're coming from. They coming out of great tribulation. So, and it tell you right after Revelation 6, it's going into what's about to happen in Revelation 7. The Lord is getting ready to bring his instructions, so he gonna go and set a seal on them. That's all. But let's see here. Let's see if I can find that woman. Lips of a strange woman. Let's see here. Yeah, Proverbs chapter 5. So Proverbs chapter 5, in verse 1, it says, "My son, attend unto my wisdom and bow thine ear to my understanding." So the Lord speaking through the mouth of Solomon, right? He say, "Attend unto my wisdom and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou may regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. That's what's going to happen when you paying attention to the word of God. But pay attention to what he said in verse 3. He said, for the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. So hey, that can even happen with a physical woman. But at this point right here, when you pay attention to how this verse is coming after verse 2, it's leaning more toward doctrine. Because he's telling you, listen, attend to my wisdom. Don't jump off on anything else. Because what happens is the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. That's why you got all these people in these false churches, because they listening to that strange woman, these other doctrines. But her end is bitter as wormwood. May sound good, may look good, may taste good to your ears, but when it's all said and done, it's bitter as wormwood. It says sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou should ponder the path of life, movable, that thou cannot know them. All over the place. You see, but just showing you how it can go either way in Revelation chapter 14. See, like I say, we don't have enough to, come right out and say, and nobody does. Nobody has enough to say in Revelation 14. See, they didn't sleep with women. We don't know. It could be talking about a physical woman, could be talking about something spiritual. You see, but it don't give you enough to actually say which one it is. And that's what I wanted to show you. All right, so now it says, okay, yeah. So it says, these are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. And you just think about it. Look at Enoch. When Enoch walked with God for 300 some years, you know what I'm saying? But pay attention. I just want you to see something. It says, these are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins, right? Then it says, these are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. But in Revelation chapter 7, he said the Lamb gonna lead them. Now in Revelation 14, he's saying these are they which follow the Lamb, whithersoever he goeth. So that's what I said. I kind of see some things that kind of line up between Revelation 7 and Revelation 14 that kind of make me think this is possibly the same one. As far as this being Jesus' generation getting cut off, I don't see that nowhere. Like I haven't read that nowhere. There's no scripture to back that statement up. You see. But what he says here, he said, these were redeemed from among men, or set free from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. So it could be a possibility that they can possibly do like Enoch did. They walk with God, because remember, it said if these are the same ones in Revelation 7, he said he gonna lead them to fountains of living water. So in other words, they ain't got to worry about death. They ain't got to worry about the judgment there, none of that. They straight. He gonna lead them to fountains of living water. In other words, he gonna take them into everlasting life. So in Revelation 14, he said, these were redeemed from among men. It's like he snatched them out from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. Then it says, and in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. But what you think happened when you become a chaste virgin also? You see? That's the same thing that take place. This is why he was saying they wash their robes and stuff like that, if these are the same ones. But the point is that, I can see some similar, I can see how it could be them. And I can't really, I really don't see anything else to show that they're different. Like I definitely don't see that it's I can't grasp it being, Jesus' generation that was cut off. Like I don't get that at all. But now let's go look at what it is not. But one thing we know definitely for sure, these are the ones that were caught in the Great Tribulation. So I know people make a big deal about being sealed and stuff like that. Like the Jehovah's Witness, they make it seem like this is it. You get sealed, you straight, you good. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have these you going up into heaven, you're gonna sit on the throne with God, these 144,000 that he choose, and they're gonna watch everything that's going on down in this earth. But these are Jews, or these are Israelites first and foremost. Second off, they got caught in the Great Tribulation. Okay? If you have understanding on the word of God, the Lord gonna put his church into the wilderness. So just keep that in mind now. If you get to the wilderness, listen, you straight from all of this. You ain't got to worry about the first seal, second seal, third seal, fourth seal, fifth seal, sixth seal, seventh seal. Neither do you have to worry about the 7 vials that's gonna be poured out by God, because you done got to the wilderness. Well, I'm gonna take that back. When he gets to that 7th seal, I don't know what he gonna do right there. We just know that we're gonna be in the wilderness for 3.5 years. When we get that 7th seal, hey, maybe we're gonna change. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen right there. I know we're gonna be changing at the last trump. All right. I know that for sure. It say that. But these ones right here, they got caught in the great tribulation. They could very well be the ones in Revelation chapter 14. But nobody can say for sure. Nobody can tell you that that's it for sure. What we can say that the ones in Revelation chapter 7, they got caught in the great tribulation. All right. And the Lord gonna put that seal on them and other nations that happen to change and turn. He gonna put a seal on them to say, and it's gonna sever them kind of like it did in Egypt before he bring his destruction. But now let's go to Joel chapter 2 to show what it is not. Because people I was listening to a brother earlier, and he was saying that these 144,000, these are actually what the Bible's talking about in Joel chapter 2. All right, so let's just look at this and see if this is the case. Joel chapter 2, we're going to pick this up at verse 1. It says, "Blow you the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord come, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and strong. There have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations." All right, because it's a great people and strong, people like to say, see, we're going to be like Hancock was. We're going to get these powers like Hancock. We're going to be able to fly all over the place and stuff like that. And they use Joel 2 to back this up. But listen, Joel 2 ain't talking about the 144,000. Joel chapter 2 is talking about the Lord's army, which is Gog and Magog. All right. Gog and Magog, this is who the Lord is going to use to fight his battle. The Medes and the Persians, all these guys. Medes are around. Iran is around. Russia's around. China's around. This is who God is going to use. And it's going to be so many of them that this is why the Bible is likening them to a great people and a strong. They have not been ever the like. Because Revelation chapter 16 lets you know that these people that are coming through during this day is a 200 million man army. So you ain't never seen an army that big, but this is the Lord's army, not the 144,000. We're at Joel 2 and verse 3. It says, a fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burned. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them, because listen, it's beautiful in front of them, but by the time they come through and get done, it's gonna be destroyed. It says the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Because there's gonna be so many of them. You ain't gonna be able to do nothing. They're gonna have a fly. He said, like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. So this is an army. Before their face, the people shall be much pain, and all faces shall gather black. It's not talking about they gonna turn black, but they gonna be terrified. In other words, brothers say, imagine white people turning black. This ain't got nothing to do with. This ain't talking about that. This is actually talking about how scared they gonna be. They're going to be terrified of what they see going on. Verse 7, it says, they're going to run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march everyone on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Because it's going to be so many of them. You kill one of them, it don't matter. Listen, you got 199,999,999,999 left. If I said that right. But it's that many of them. That's the point. It's so many I can't even figure out how to say the number. He said they're gonna run like mighty men, they're gonna climb the wall like men of war. They shall march everyone on his ways, and they should not break their ranks. This is gonna be during the time of war. You shoot one of them down, it don't even matter. It says, neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk everyone in his path, and when they shall fall upon the sword, pay attention to what it says, they shall not be wounded. Because you got 200 million men coming through here. This is the Lord's army that he gonna send through to Jerusalem to take down, the 10 nations that Satan gonna have. So you're gonna have Satan's army fighting, and you're gonna have the Lord's army fighting. It says they're gonna run to and fro in the city. They should run upon the wall. They should climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. So in other words, it's gonna be so many of them. Brothers be like, see, we're gonna be running up walls. I remember I used to believe this too. We're gonna run up upon the wall, we're gonna climb up upon the houses. And then, as a matter of fact, one brother actually shows the Hancock video where Will Smith is flying all through the city, running into traffic, the big old city signs where you're on the highway and stuff, with a bottle of beer in his hand. Listen, this ain't what this is talking about. This is talking about this army that's coming up to Jerusalem. We gonna get powers and stuff like that once we get these everlasting bodies, but this ain't it. This is strictly or simply just talking about the Lord's army. How many it's gonna be that you won't be able to do no hurt to them. They're gonna run to and fro in the city. They should run upon the wall. They should climb up upon the house. They should enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble, and the sun and the moon shall be dark once again. And the stars shall withdraw their sign, right? But this is taking you back to when? During the Lord's time. This is when the Lord is getting ready to get involved now. And this is all a part of what's going to unfold during these last 7 vials that's going to be introduced at the 7th seal. The sun ain't going to get hit twice. It's going to get hit one time, but it's taking you to, and it's putting you in that time frame. And it said, the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great, for he is strong to execute his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Who gonna be able to stand in this day? It's gonna be a bad time. Therefore also now, saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning, and rend your heart, and not your garments. You break that heart up. That's what you need to do. Rend that heart. Get that pride out the way. Go and cry out to God. And turn unto the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repent him of the evil. Who know if he will return and repent and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and the drink offering unto the Lord your God. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call the solemn assembly. So pay attention to what's going on. Joel chapter 2 and verse 15. This is taking you to the memorial blowing the trumpets, because that's what's going to happen here. This trumpet is going to introduce the coming of the Lord. He's going to return on the day of atonement. That's why it say, blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sanctify a fast. Gather the people, verse 16, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children and those that suck the breast. Get everybody need to fast. It's a bad time. Get everybody involved. He said, gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children and those that suck the breast. So it don't hurt you to let your child, take part in the atonement. I mean, I listen, do the best you can. But at this time right here, it's gonna be a bad time. Hey, you ain't gonna have no problem not feeding them. He said, gather everybody. Let the bridegroom go forth out of his chamber and the bride out of her closet. Because at this point, this is when Israel gonna be revealed to the world. Right now, she in the closet. Don't nobody really know who she is. But Jesus is on his way. Then it say what? And the bride out of her closet. At this point, then everybody gonna know who the Lord's people is. He said, let the priests, the ministers of the Lord, weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, spare thy people, showing you that this ain't 144,000 that's about to kill God's people. This is Gog and Magog. This is the Lord's army that's coming up through Jerusalem. And what he's saying is, let the priests, the ministers of the Lord, weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, spare thy people, O Lord, and give not thine heritage to reproach that the heathen should rule over them. Wherefore should they say among the people, where is their God? Then will the Lord be jealous for his land and pity his people. Yet the Lord will answer and say unto his people, behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and ye shall be satisfied therewith, and I will no more make you a reproach upon the heathen. Then he says in verse 20, but I will remove far off from you the northern army, and would drive him into a land barren and desolate. What northern army we talking about? We talking about the one that's in the north part of Russia over there, between the north and the south, between Russia and China and all them. They coming from the north. So he said, I'm gonna remove far off from you. The northern army will drive him into a land barren and desolate. Because remember, when after the 1,000-year millennium is over, they gonna come back into play anyway. But the European army, Lord gonna take them down. But he said, I'm gonna drive him into a barren and desolate land with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things. But this is God's army. One more place, and it's gonna be it, because my wife got to go to work in the morning, and I do too. So let's see here. One more place. Let's see who this is. Gonna go to the Old Testament, Isaiah chapter 13. Just proving that this right here, like I told you when we first started, you have even Israel messing up the 144,000. Not just Gentiles, everybody messed that up. But just showing that this right here this is not talking about Israel and Joe. This is not talking about 144,000 in Joel. All right. So it says in Isaiah chapter 13, verse 13, therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as a chase row and as a sheep that no man take up. They shall every man turn to his own people and flee every one into his own land. So it's even showing you right here, this is during the time of Pentecost, the 50th year when every man gonna be set free. That's why you got to pay attention to the Lord's holy days. They all mean something. If you're not observing the holy days, you have no idea how God is going to come back and set his kingdom up. You have no idea what the feast days represent. You don't understand how it's going to unfold. But we just saw in Joel chapter 2, he said, blow the trumpet, right? That's talking about when this happened, it's going to be on the 7th month, the first day of the 7th month. That's when Maury blowing the trumpets. And then on the 10th day of this 7th month, that's the day of atonement. That's why he says sanctify fast. Now, when Isaiah chapter 13, he's saying here, he said in verse 13, verse 14, it shall be as a chase road, talking about all this destruction that's going to come. It's going to be as a chase road and as a sheep that no man take up. Like for instance, you ain't going to try to rebuild once this destruction is done. Like all these different events that happen throughout the world. Look at 9/11. Like them planes knocked down the tower, even though I think the government has something to do with it. But even though they did fall, but guess what? They went on building it back up. Joplin, Missouri, a few years ago, tore that place up. Even down in Florida a few months ago, tore it up with a hurricane. But you know the mindset of the people, they want to come back and build it all over again. Well, after God get finished in the future, it ain't gonna work like that. He said, it shall be as a chase row and as a sheep that no man take up. They ain't gonna try to repair what God, after God tear this world up. They just gonna sit down and wait on orders from God. He said, they should every man turn to his own people and flee everyone to his own land. This is during the time, the year of Pentecost. Because the Lord gonna return on the year of Pentecost, sisters and brothers. The trumpet gonna be blown in the 7th month of that year. And then he gonna return on the day of atonement. He said, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. This is what's going to happen in Jerusalem. This is what this army going to do. You mean to tell me the 144,000 going to come through raping kids? That's not what this is. That's not the 144,000. This is talking about God's army. Not to say they serve God, but in the capacity that he needs them to do some killing. And that's what he's gonna use Russia and China for, and Iran and all them countries that are over in that area. So when they come through, you know how it is. You say all is fair in love and war. Well, that's the mindset they got. That's why they ain't got no problem killing no kids and raping women. Because it said that children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives and ravaged, which mean raped. And then he says in verse 17, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. That's talking about Russia them. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. But this is the Lord's army, the same one we talking about in Joel chapter 2. So that's what I wanted to bring out tonight, the 144,000. I hope somebody got some understanding. If you have any questions, just feel free to email me. Go back and watch the class. You can leave a comment, and I'll be more than happy to address it. But other than that, Y'all can check us out on Saturday at Israel Church of Jesus Atlanta on our YouTube page. Not only for the live lessons on the Sabbath, but also for any other videos or topics that you may have questions about. You should be able to find them in our archives. So with that being said, I'd like to say peace in Jesus' name.